Jae-sung slowly walked down the quiet street, his cane tapping on the sidewalk with each step. At 90 years old, the black veteran's body was frail, but his mind was still sharp. He thought about his son, Min-soo, a brilliant young engineer, as he made his way home from the corner store. Suddenly, the roar of motorcycle engines shattered the evening calm. A gang of bikers sped around the corner, whooping and hollering obnoxiously. They circled Jae-sung like sharks smelling blood. The lead biker, a large man with a patchy beard, stopped right in front of Jae-sung. "Well, look what we have here, boys," he sneered. "Looks like Gramps is lost." Jae-sung stood his ground, looking the biker directly in the eye. "I'm not lost," he said calmly. "This is my neighborhood. I'm just walking home." The bikers laughed. The leader got off his bike and approached Jae-sung menacingly. "Your neighborhood? I don't see your name on it, old man." Quick as a flash, the biker sucker punched Jae-sung right in the face. Jae-sung fell back, his cane clattering to the ground. The other bikers cheered and high-fived each other. Jae-sung struggled to get up, blood dripping from his nose. The lead biker kicked Jae-sung in the ribs, making him cry out in pain. "Stay down, Gramps. This is our turf now," the biker spat. The gang roared off, their cruel laughter echoing in the night air. Jae-sung lay on the cold concrete, groaning. Everything hurt. A few neighbors who had witnessed the assault from their windows hurried out to help the old man. "Mr. Park, are you okay? We're calling an ambulance," a woman said frantically as she knelt beside him. Jae-sung's vision swam. He closed his eyes, trying to breathe through the pain that racked his body. He heard the wail of sirens approaching before he lost consciousness. Some time later, Jae-sung woke up in the hospital with bandages on his face and chest. He looked over to see his son Min-soo sitting in a chair by the bed, head in his hands. "Min-soo," Jae-sung croaked. Min-soo's head snapped up, his eyes red and puffy from crying. "Dad, thank God you're awake," Min-soo said, moving to carefully hug his father. "I was so worried. The doctors said you have a concussion and some cracked ribs." Jae-sung winced from his son's embrace but didn't pull away. "I'll be all right, son. Just a little banged up is all." Min-soo shook his head, a deep frown etched on his face. "I can't believe those bastards did this to you. The police came by to get a statement. They're looking for the bikers now." Jae-sung sighed. "I wouldn't get my hopes up. Punks like that are hard to catch." A determined glint shone in Min-soo's eyes as he held his father's hand. "They won't get away with this, Dad. I swear it." Over the next few days, Jae-sung recovered in the hospital. Min-soo rarely left his side, tending to his father's needs. But a storm brewed behind Min-soo's quiet demeanor. At night, after Jae-sung fell asleep, Min-soo would pull out his laptop and work feverishly. Ideas and schematics flew across the screen as Min-soo lost himself in his most ambitious project yet. He would make those bikers pay for what they did. And he'd do it using his greatest strength, his genius intellect. Finally, Jae-sung was discharged and Min-soo took him home. Life seemed to return to normal, but Min-soo disappeared into his workshop for hours on end. Jae-sung figured his son was throwing himself into his engineering work as a distraction. Little did Jae-sung know, a reckoning was coming for the biker gang. In the solitude of his lab, Min-soo built a suit of armor unlike anything the world had ever seen. Lightweight, nearly indestructible, and equipped with advanced weaponry. It would more than level the playing field against common street thugs. As Min-soo powered up the exoskeleton for the first time, the helmet display glowed an ominous red. "I'm coming for you, you sons of bitches," Min-soo growled. "You messed with the wrong family." Min-soo worked tirelessly in his workshop, determined to create a suit of armor that would allow him to take revenge on the bikers who hurt his father. He had always been a brilliant engineer, but this project pushed his skills to the limit. Day and night, Min-soo labored over the exoskeleton. He crafted a lightweight yet incredibly strong frame using advanced alloys. He designed a power system that would enhance the wearer's strength and speed to superhuman levels. Piece by piece, the suit came together. Min-Soo integrated an array of sensors and heads-up displays into the helmet, giving the wearer unparalleled situational awareness. He even added a few non-lethal weapon systems, like a sonic pulse emitter and an electromagnetic disruptor. Throughout the building process, Min-Soo's anger at the bikers never diminished. If anything, it intensified as he replayed the image of his father being beaten in his mind over and over. He channeled that rage into his work, using it as fuel to push through the long hours and frustrating setbacks. Finally, after weeks of relentless effort, the exoskeleton was complete. Min-Soo stood before his creation, a sleek black suit of armor that looked like something out of a science fiction movie. He couldn't help but feel a sense of pride at what he had accomplished. But there was no time to bask in the glory of his invention. Min-Soo had a mission to complete. He needed to train with the suit, to master its capabilities before confronting the bikers. In a secluded area outside the city, Min-Soo put the exoskeleton through its paces. He practiced running and leaping, marveling at the speed and agility the suit granted him. He tested the strength enhancement by lifting enormous boulders and crushing them to dust. The weapon systems took some getting used to, but soon Min-Soo was blasting targets with sonic waves and shorting out electrical systems with ease. He felt invincible in the armor, like he could take on an army single-handedly. As Min-Soo trained, he learned of the biker gang's whereabouts from friends in the local community. They had taken over an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, using it as their base of operations. Min-Soo knew that's where he would confront them. Late one night, Min-Soo donned the exoskeleton and made his way to the warehouse. He crept through the shadows, the suit's matte black finish making him nearly invisible in the darkness. As he approached the building, Min-Soo could hear the bikers inside, laughing and shouting over the din of loud music. Anger surged through his veins at the sound. These were the men who had brutalized his elderly father, who had shattered the peace of their community. They didn't deserve mercy. Min-Soo kicked in the door of the warehouse, sending it flying off its hinges with a metallic clang. The bikers whirled around in shock, reaching for their weapons, but they were far too slow. In a blur of motion, Min-Soo was among them. He moved with inhuman speed, dealing out punishing blows that sent bikers flying like ragdolls. The sonic pulse emitter knocked them off their feet, while the electromagnetic disruptor fried their guns and engines. The lead biker, the one who had punched Jae-sung, tried to mount a defense. He came at Min-Soo with a chainsaw, screaming in rage. Min-Soo caught the blade in his armored hand, crushing it like tin foil. With his other hand, he lifted the biker by the throat. "Remember me," Min-Soo growled, his voice distorted by the helmet. "You hurt my father. Now you're going to pay." The biker's eyes widened in terror as he recognized Min-Soo. He struggled in the iron grip, but it was useless. Min-Soo squeezed, watching the biker's face turn purple. At the last moment, Min-Soo relented. He wasn't a killer. He dropped the biker, who crumpled to the floor, gasping for air. "Get out of my city," Min-Soo commanded, his amplified voice booming through the warehouse. "If I ever see any of you again, I won't be so merciful." The bikers scrambled to obey, fleeing from the avenging sun and his incredible armor. Min-Soo watched them go, a grim satisfaction filling his heart. He had done it. He had gotten justice for his father. But as the adrenaline faded, Min-Soo knew his mission was far from over. There would always be others out there like the bikers, preying on the weak and innocent. With his exoskeleton, Min-Soo had the power to stop them. A new purpose crystallized in Min-Soo's mind as he strode out into the night. He would become a protector, a guardian for those who couldn't fight for themselves. The criminals of the city would learn to fear the name of the Exo Knight. Min-Soo, now known as the Exo Knight, patrolled the city streets at night, looking for signs of trouble. His black exoskeleton suit allowed him to move with incredible speed and strength, making him a formidable force against crime. One evening, he spotted a group of bikers harassing a young woman. They were the same gang that had attacked his father. Min Su's blood boiled at the sight of them. He landed in front of the bikers with a heavy thud, his armor gleaming under the streetlights. "Leave her alone," he commanded, his voice distorted by the helmet. The bikers turned to face him, their eyes widening in recognition. "It's him," one of them shouted. "The guy from the warehouse." The lead biker stepped forward, a crowbar in his hand. "You made a big mistake coming here, freak," he snarled. "This time, we're ready for you." Min Su smiled beneath his helmet. "Ready to get your asses kicked again, you mean?" With a roar, the bikers charged at him. Min Su met them head-on, his enhanced strength making their attacks feel like gentle taps. He punched and kicked, sending bikers flying in all directions. The lead biker swung his crowbar at Min Su's head. Min Su caught it easily and yanked it out of the biker's hands. He tossed it aside and grabbed the biker by his jacket. "I warned you what would happen if I saw you again," Min Su growled. He lifted the biker off his feet and threw him into a pile of garbage bags. The other bikers, seeing their leader defeated so easily, turned and fled. Min Su let them go. He had more important things to do. He turned to the young woman who was staring at him in awe. "Are you all right?" he asked gently. She nodded, tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "You saved me." Min Su helped her to her feet. "Go home and stay safe," he said. "I'll make sure they don't bother you again." As the woman hurried away, Min Su felt a sense of satisfaction. This was what he had built the exoskeleton for, to help people, to protect the innocent from harm. Over the next few weeks, Min Su continued his patrols. He stopped muggings, broke up drug deals, and even rescued a family from a burning building. The people of the city began to talk about him, the mysterious black-suited hero who appeared out of nowhere to save the day. But Min Su knew he couldn't keep his identity a secret forever. Sooner or later, someone would figure out who he was. That someone turned out to be his father. Jae-sung had noticed his son's late-night absences and the strange bruises that sometimes appeared on his body. He put two and two together and confronted Min Su. "You're him, aren't you?" Jae-sung asked one evening, cornering Min Su in his workshop. The XO night. Min Su froze, his heart pounding. He had never wanted his father to find out. "Dad, I can explain." But Jae-sung held up a hand, silencing him. "I know why you did it," he said softly. "You wanted to get back at those bikers for what they did to me." Min Su nodded, tears welling up in his eyes. "I couldn't let them get away with it," he said. "I had to do something." Jae-sung placed a hand on his son's shoulder. "I'm proud of you, Min Su," he said. "You've become a true hero, but you have to be careful. This life, it's dangerous." Min Su knew his father was right. Being the XO knight meant putting himself at risk every night, but it was a risk he was willing to take. "I have to do this, Dad," he said. "I have the power to help people, to make a difference. I can't just sit back and do nothing." Jae-sung sighed, but there was a glimmer of pride in his eyes. "I know," he said. "Just promise me you'll be safe out there." Min Su hugged his father tightly. "I promise," he whispered. From that moment on, Min Su knew he had his father's support. He continued his mission as the XO knight, fighting crime and protecting the innocent. He knew the road ahead would be tough, but with his father by his side, he felt like he could take on the world. Min Su continued to fight crime as the XO knight. He stopped robberies, caught drug dealers, and saved people from danger. The city started to see him as a hero. But the bikers were angry. They wanted revenge on the XO knight for beating them up. They got bigger weapons and made a plan to take him down. One night, Min Su was patrolling when he heard a scream. He rushed to help and found the bikers attacking a group of innocent people. The bikers had guns this time. They shot at Min Su, but his armor blocked the bullets. He fought back with his enhanced strength and speed. It was a tough battle. The bikers had him outnumbered. Min Su took some hard hits, but he kept fighting. He used his sonic pulse to knock them back and his electromagnetic disruptor to disable their weapons. Finally, Min Su stood victorious. The bikers lay groaning on the ground, their weapons destroyed. Min Su tied them up for the police. The people he saved thanked him. They called him a true hero. Min Su felt proud, but also tired. The fight had taken a lot out of him. He returned home late that night. He tried to sneak in quietly, but his father was waiting up. Jae-sung saw the dents and scorch marks on the exoskeleton. "Rough night?" Jae-sung asked, concerned. Min Su nodded wearily. The bikers. They were more prepared this time. Jae-sung helped his son out of the damaged armor. "You can't keep doing this alone, Min Su. It's too dangerous." "I have to, Dad," Min Su said. "The city needs me. I'm making a difference out there." Jae-sung sighed. He knew he couldn't stop his son. Min Su had a strong sense of justice, just like him. "At least let me help fix up your armor," Jae-sung offered. "Two heads are better than one." Min Su smiled gratefully. Together, father and son worked to repair the exoskeleton. Jae-sung even came up with some ideas to improve it. Over the next few days, Min Su laid low to recover. The news reported on the Exo Knight's victory over the bikers. People praised him as a guardian angel. Min Su knew the peace wouldn't last. There would always be more criminals, more people in need of help, but he was ready to face whatever challenges came his way. With his father's support and his own determination, Min Su knew he could continue to make a difference as the Exo Knight. He would be the hero his city needed, no matter the cost. The story of the Exo Knight spread throughout the city. People talked about the mysterious hero in the black armor who fought crime and protected the innocent. News reporters tried to find out who the Exo Knight was, but no one knew his true identity. Min Su was careful to keep his secret. He didn't want the attention or the danger it could bring to his father. But as the Exo Knight's fame grew, so did the challenges he faced. Bigger, more dangerous criminals started coming to the city, drawn by the chance to take down the legendary hero. Min Su fought them all, using every ounce of his skill and the power of his exoskeleton. He took down corrupt businessmen, superpowered mob bosses, and even a few would-be supervillains. Each battle was harder than the last. Min Su came home with more dents in his armor and more bruises on his body. Jae-sung worried constantly, but he never stopped supporting his son. One day, after a particularly brutal fight with a gang of enhanced mercenaries, Min Su limped home to find his father waiting for him. Jae-sung took one look at his son's battered state and shook his head. "You can't go on like this, Min Su," he said softly. "You're pushing yourself too hard. You need rest, and you need help." Min Su started to protest, but his father held up a hand. "I know you feel responsible for the city, but you have a responsibility to yourself too. You can't help anyone if you're dead." The words hit Min Su hard. He knew his father was right. He had been so focused on being the Exo Knight that he had forgotten to take care of himself. "What should I do, Dad?" he asked, his voice raw with emotion. Jae-sung smiled. "You take a break. You heal. And you let others help you carry the load. The city has other protectors, Min Su. It's time you let them do their job too." Min Su nodded slowly. It was hard to step back, but he knew it was necessary. He couldn't be the Exo Knight forever. In the following weeks, Min Su focused on recovering. He repaired his armor and trained his body, but he also spent time with his father and friends. He remembered what it was like to have a life outside of being the hero. And as he rested, he watched others step up to protect the city. The police, inspired by the Exo Knight's example, cracked down harder on crime. Other vigilantes, some with powers of their own, started patrolling the streets. Min Su realized that he had started something bigger than himself. He had given the city hope, and that hope had spread like wildfire. When he finally put the exoskeleton back on, Min Su felt renewed. He was still the Exo Knight, but he was no longer alone. He had a network of allies and a city that believed in him. Together, they would continue to fight for justice and peace, and Min-Su knew that as long as he had his father and the spirit of a hero, he could face anything that came his way. As Min-Su recovered, Jae-sung started piecing together the truth about his son's superhero identity. He had always known Min-Su was special, but he never imagined his brilliance would lead him down this path. Jae-sung felt a mix of pride and fear for his son. He was proud of Min-Su's bravery and selflessness, but he also feared for his safety. Being a hero was a dangerous job, and Jae-sung didn't want to lose his only child. One evening, Jae-sung sat down with Min-Su for a heart-to-heart talk. "I know you're the Exo Knight," he said gently, "and I know why you did it. You wanted to help people, to make a difference." Min-Su looked at his father in surprise. He had always tried to hide his secret identity, but he should have known his dad would figure it out. Jae-sung was a smart man, and he knew his son better than anyone. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you," Min-Su said. "I didn't want you to worry." Jae-sung smiled. "I'm your father. It's my job to worry. But I'm also incredibly proud of you, Min-Su. What you're doing, it's heroic." Min-Su felt tears well up in his eyes. He had always wanted to make his father proud, and to hear those words meant everything to him. But Jae-sung continued, his expression turning serious. "I also need you to be careful. I know you have powers now, but you're not invincible. I can't lose you, son." Min-Su nodded solemnly. "I understand, Dad. I promise I'll be careful. But I can't stop being the Exo Knight. The city needs me." Jae-sung sighed. He knew he couldn't change his son's mind. Min-Su had a strong sense of duty, just like Jae-sung himself. It was one of the things that made him such a great hero. "I know," Jae-sung said, "and I won't try to stop you. But I want you to know that you don't have to do this alone. You have me, and you have your friends. We're here for you, Min-Su, always." Min-Su hugged his father tightly. He knew he was lucky to have such a supportive and understanding dad. With Jae-sung by his side, Min-Su felt like he could take on anything. As the weeks passed, Min-Su continued his work as the Exo Knight, but he also made more time for his personal life. He had dinner with his father every week, and he even started dating a nice girl he met at the library. Jae-sung was happy to see his son finding balance. He knew the life of a superhero could be lonely and isolating, and he didn't want that for Min-Su. But even as Min-Su tried to live a normal life, he never forgot his mission. He kept training, kept improving his exoskeleton, and kept fighting for justice. And the city loved him for it. The Exo Knight became more than just a local hero. He became a symbol of hope and courage for people everywhere. Min-Su knew he had a long road ahead of him. There would always be new threats, new challenges to face. But with his father's love and the strength of his convictions, he knew he could overcome anything. He was the Exo Knight, the protector of the innocent and the scourge of the wicked. And as long as he had breath in his body, he would never stop fighting for what was right.